Hey fam, and welcome to the Happily Ever Active podcast powered by Fit for the Magic, where Disney magic meets health and wellness. I'm Stephen Kabibi, your friendly personal healthcare companion, and I help Disney travelers like you physically prep for your next vacation so that you can walk more, hurt less, and enjoy the magic without burnout. Today, we'll be talking about one of the most underrated reasons why Disney trips fall apart around day 3 or 4. And that is sleep. Not just how long you sleep, but how well you sleep and recover between park days. And while most people know about the most common sleep tips that are thrown out there, for example, like avoid caffeine after 3 p.m., limit alcohol use before bedtime, sleep in a cool, dark, and quiet room, and the most common, avoid screen time before bed, the sleep tips that I'm going to discuss with you go beyond those so that you can sleep better and wake up feeling more refreshed so that you can take on your next Disney day feeling strong. Find everything, including my pocketbook guide, Disney Ready, Your Pain-Free Park Survival Guide, over at fitforthemagic.com. And if you learned something useful on this episode, please share the show and tell a friend. Okay, here we go. Allow me to paint a picture and tell me if this sounds familiar. You're on day 3 of your Disney trip. Your feet are starting to hurt in places that you didn't even know had bones. Your hips feel tight, your brain feels a little bit foggy, and somehow you slept last night, but you didn't really feel rested. Then you start thinking, why am I sore already? I slept 7 hours. Shouldn't that be enough for me? Is this just what Disney does to you? Here's the truth that most people never hear. Disney exhaustion isn't just about all the steps you do. It's also about that nervous system overload and the broken sleep architecture behind it. And if sleep doesn't recover you from day to day while you're at Disney, then everything just compounds on itself. Pain shows up a little faster. Energy drops a little earlier in the day. Your patience gets a little thinner at the smallest things. And then the trip that you waited months for and saved up a lot of money for starts feeling heavy and extra expensive. So today I want to show you how to sleep in a way that actually restores your body during a multi-day Disney trip. When sleep quality improves, even without sleeping longer hours, you wake up less sore. You recover faster between days in the parks. You think more clearly all day. You have better balance and stamina to get through the entire day. And you get to enjoy the theme parks without forcing it. Remember, though, that this is not about perfection. Instead, it's about stacking small, under-the-radar wins that keep you feeling human and not broken on days 5, 6, and 7. Now, before we jump into my top tips, we have to call out the 3 biggest mental traps that quietly ruin your sleep while you're on your Disney trip, even for the smart, prepared people. Okay, that first mental trap is I'll sleep when I get home. This one sounds pretty harmless and maybe even responsible because, you spent a bunch of money to be at Disney. You want to spend as much time as you can in the park, soaking it all in, right? I'll push through it now. I'll recover later when I'm home. But here's the problem. Sleep debt compounds on itself, especially when you're walking 20 to 30,000 steps a day. When you delay recovery by having lower quality sleep, your pain sensitivity increases, your muscles take longer to repair from day to day, and your nervous system starts to stay stuck in overdrive, making everything feel a lot worse than it really is. So by day 3 or 4, it's not just the fact that you're tired, it's everything starts to feel that much harder. And the worst part, you suddenly don't feel better just because the trip ends. That whole idea of I'll sleep when I get home mindset turns what should be a joyful vacation into a slow physical leak. Energy that just drains from you every single day. Okay, mental block number 2. It's that adrenaline that masquerades itself as extra energy throughout the day. This one fools almost everyone, and I've fallen into that trap in the past. Fireworks, crowds, parades, loud music, a few cocktails here and there. That dopamine hit of being somewhere magical, like the Disney parks. You feel awake. You feel a lot more energized. So you think, I'm fine. I can do this. But that adrenaline is not proper quality recovery. Instead, it's borrowed energy. Your body is basically telling you, we're not safe to power down yet, so we're going to keep the lights on for a little longer. But the thing is, at the end of the day, even though you want to collapse into bed, your heart rate stays elevated. Your nervous system stays on high alert. And then as a result, deep sleep just gets delayed or even shortened. That's why you can be exhausted and wired both at the same time. Disney adrenaline doesn't mean you have more in the tank. It really means that you're running on fumes and sparks. The last mental block is the idea of treating sleep like a light switch. And really, a lot of people get caught into this trap. You get into bed, you close your eyes, and sleep should just happen. But the thing is, sleep is a biological sequence and not an on and off switch. Your body, in order to sleep well and have high quality sleep, it needs a drop in your body's core temperature. It needs a calm nervous system. And it needs a brain that it feels like it's off duty and not on high alert. When those things don't happen while you're sleeping, no matter how tired you are, sleep becomes shallow and fragmented. That's why people say, I slept, but I don't really feel rested. You didn't fail at sleep, though. Your body just wasn't set up for it. But the good news? Well, this is exactly why I've got 10 tips for you to get higher quality sleep while you're at Disney. Okay, on to the good stuff. Tip number 1. Do not use sleeping pills to force sleep at Disney. And I'm not just talking about melatonin, which, by the way, melatonin helps you start to fall asleep, but doesn't help promote deep sleep. So that's not quite recommended either. But after fireworks, the adrenaline, and maybe a cocktail or two at Epcot, it's really tempting to reach for those sleep pills like Ambien or over-the-counter antihistamines once you're back at the hotel. But here's the thing. Sleeping pills help sedate the brain, but they don't help create real deep sleep. What they do is they suppress deep non-REM sleep and REM sleep. These are the exact stages during your sleep cycle that helps your muscles, joints, and immune system recover and your brain recover. So instead of waking up well rested and recovered, you wake up stiff, foggy, and more importantly, less resilient the next day. So in the end, you want a recovery type of sleep, not just this feeling of being unconscious and then waking up for the next day. Sleeping pills typically will make days 3 to 5 of your Disney trip a lot worse. Tip number 2, you should be strategic with your naps. Don't just take accidental ones like how I did on my first trip on Carousel of Progress. Have you ever decided to take a short nap? It doesn't have to be at Disney, but have you ever decided to take a short nap in the middle of the day, but that short, 20-minute nap ended up being like 90 minutes and you woke up at 5 o'clock and you're like, what just happened? Here's why it matters. So naps will drain what's called sleep pressure. Sleep pressure is the chemical buildup that happens throughout the day that helps you fall asleep at night. So what you thought was a restful 90-minute nap ended up actually taking away from your ability to sleep well later that night. Here's some rules for napping at Disney so that you can enjoy a restful sleep later. Cap your naps at 20 to 30 minutes max. Keep them before 3 p.m. That way you have time for your body to adjust before going back to bed later in the evening. Or you could skip the naps altogether and then start to sleep later in the evening depending on what your plans are. Short naps will help your legs. Long naps will sabotage your night. Okay, tip number 3, Finish all that intense walking earlier than you think. Late night park closings may feel very productive, especially when you're trying to catch that last ride right before park close, but they can often ruin sleep quality. Heavy walking, whether it's trying to get to your next ride or trying to catch the next bus so you don't have to wait another half hour before getting to your hotel, raises your body's core temperature. Thing is, sleep requires a body core temperature drop. So when you're trying to do one more quick loop around World Showcase at 8:30, your body literally cannot cool down fast enough before going to bed. So at Disney, your best sleep nights usually follow nights when you're leaving the parks earlier, when you take the Skyliner or boat rides to get back to your resort, because then you can slow down a little bit more, or even spending the evening at the resort instead of trying to catch that one more ride at the parks. Saving energy later in the day equates to deeper sleep in the evening. Tip number 4 is hide the clock in your resort hotel room. Imagine you wake up in the middle of the night and you look over at the clock, but now it's shining in your face the fact that it's only 2:17 in the morning. You then immediately start to calculate how many hours are left before you need to wake up to get ready for rope drop. That sort of mental math, believe it or not, activates cortisol levels, that stress hormone that keeps you awake. And the thing is, cortisol ends up blocking sleep altogether. So if you're at Disney and you wake up overnight, don't check the time. Don't do the math. Don't negotiate with tomorrow to make those plans. Instead, try to go back to sleep as soon as possible without even thinking. Sleep returns faster when your brain stays out of planning mode. Okay, tip number 5, and this is somewhat related to tip number 4, but do a mental park close ritual before going to bed. When your body is in bed, but your brain is still rewriting rides from earlier in the day, thinking about magical moments that you had, or maybe even planning your lightning lanes for the next day, that sort of cognitive arousal actually suppresses melatonin, which is the hormone that helps to start falling asleep. So instead, try this before going to bed. Take out a journal, or maybe even type it on your phone as long as you don't check anything else afterwards. But the point is, write out tomorrow's plan. Maybe write a win or two from the day in the parks, and then close it, put it away, let it be done. Think of it as mentally closing the park for that day. That way, you close your own mental loop instead of keeping that mental loop open, wondering how tomorrow's even going to go. Tip number 6, align your sleep with 90-minute cycles. Believe it or not, well, especially when you're at Disney, you don't necessarily need 8 hours of sleep. Now, don't quote me on just that. There's more to it than just the 8 hours. What you want to do, though, is wake up between sleep cycles. What do I mean by that? So each cycle while you sleep lasts about 90 minutes. When you wake up between each 90-minute cycle, you're more likely to feel alert and refreshed, because then you're waking up during a lighter part of your sleep cycle. Whereas if you wake up during a deeper part of your sleep cycle, you're more likely to feel intense grogginess, mental fog, and confusion, and maybe even daytime fatigue. Yeah, that fatigue that you'll feel like later in the day. So this ends up setting yourself for a rough day in the parks if you wake up in the middle of a sleep cycle. So what does that mean? If rope drop is early for you, aim for 6 hours or 7.5 hours or 9 hours of sleep. That way you wake up in between those 90-minute sleep cycles, not just waking up at like a random time, like 6 hours and 45 minutes, because that's just the time that you ended up going to sleep and you're calculating what time you need to wake up for rope drop. Doing this alone can help reduce morning stiffness and fatigue dramatically. Tip number 7 is to use morning sunlight to help beat jet lag and grogginess during your trip. Disney hotel rooms can be a lot like dark caves, believe it or not. However, morning light helps to reset your circadian rhythm. It improves nighttime melatonin release later in the evening. So, within 30 to 60 minutes of waking up in the morning, find time to get some natural sunlight. Go outside, spend time on your hotel balcony, or eat breakfast near an open window if there is no balcony to access. Believe it or not, this is going to help you fall asleep earlier the next night, which is a huge win for a multi-day Disney trip. Tip number 8, take a warm shower before going to bed. If your feet, your calves, and your hips feel cooked after a long day at Disney, skipping the shower and heading straight to bed might feel logical, although it might be a little gross. But the warm water of the shower helps to increase blood flow to the skin. It allows faster cooling of your body afterwards, which is really important for sleep hygiene because your body's core temperature needs to drop to be able to sleep well. And then it also triggers your body's processes to start winding down to get ready for sleep. Not only that, it helps to reduce muscle tension from the day of walking, and then, of course, it improves sleep depth. Then you can make sure that your hotel room's thermostat is set to a cool, comfortable temperature before you go to sleep, which, again, helps aid into getting higher quality sleep. That warm shower isn't just hygiene and getting clean before the evening. It's part of your recovery. Tip number 9, eat with sleep in mind. Late fireworks usually equates to late snacks, which usually equates to acid reflux or even restless sleep. The problem with late heavy meals or even late heavy snacks is that they raise your body's metabolism rate and they raise your body's core temperature, which are both enemies of sleep. So instead, after the fireworks, aim to take a light protein or carb snack. Avoid greasy meals, which tend to slow down digestion and lead to discomfort and heartburn. And they end up actually making you feel fatigued and groggy the next day. And then finally, stay hydrated, but taper fluids, especially towards the evening, so that you don't go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Better digestion equals fewer wake-ups at night. Finally, number 10, and you may have heard this before, but it's very much worth reiterating. Do not assume that one good night of sleep is going to fix everything. You will sleep when you get home is a pretty big trap. The thing is, sleep debt accumulates and compounds over several days. And it's really easy to fall into this trap when you're at Disney. But it just doesn't reset after one longer night of sleep. So your job is to try to protect sleep every night. That could mean ending just a couple of your nights a little earlier to wind down sooner. It could mean incorporating rest days into your trip. It could mean making sure that your bedtimes and your wake times are consistent. This is how you're going to survive days 5 through 7 of feeling human and not broken. So here is the big picture. Disney fatigue is not just about all the steps you take. It's nervous system overload, broken sleep architecture that's accumulated fatigue over several days. But when you improve your sleep quality, you hurt less, you recover faster, you think clearer, and you enjoy the magic more without burnout. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you love what you hear and you want to hear more or read more, I encourage you to head over to fitforthemagic.com, where you can even find your free guide, 15 must-have items for a pain-free Disney trip. And if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to share the show with anyone that might benefit from it. And of course, please leave a review or rating in your favorite podcast app if you enjoyed the show. This helps me tremendously as I move forward with new episodes to come. I hope you'll tune in to learn more about how to have a pain-free, soreness-free, and exhaustion-free vacation so that you can make magical memories with your loved ones.